Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Khan from In Your House. We are introducing a new segment on the show where basically we rewind time. We go back to an old conversation. We call those retro rewinds. And today's going to be our first retro rewind with the announcement of the WWE Network airing Evolve 131, the 10th anniversary. Us at In Your House, we decided to bring it back. We're going to bring it back to May, shortly after Evolve 128 in Indianapolis, Indiana, where we were able to talk to the Evolve champion, Austin Theory. He has a big match on the WWE Network against JD Drake for a winner-takes-all match for the Evolve Championship and the WWN Championship. So, guys, let's rewind time and go back as we talk to the Evolve champion, Austin Theory. Hopefully you enjoy it. Peace.
Rewind?
Yeah, we bring reviews of your house. Talk to our dudes of your house. I bring my views of your house. Wrestling truths of your house. We talk to you in your house. We keeps it cool in your house. We keeps it cool in your house. I'm spitting truths in your house.
Yes, Mark's hating on his fans. Becky's niche, I'm the man. Play with two like alliance. Household a dangerous alliance. I am a nightmare like Cody, and I'm overcoming like Kobe. No, they cannot hold me. Come listen, I'm hosting, critiquing, I'm boasting. This wrestling, I'm knowing.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to In Your House, starring Alakan House. This is the People's Podcast. Haha. Hey, you guys already know what it is. It's your boy Khan, ready to give you that work when it comes to this professional wrestling discussion. That's what we do. We talk professional wrestling here. Right now we're doing it 5 days a week. Listen to in 14 different countries, all across the United States and locally, right here in Indiana. And man, am I excited! I'm amped. I'm on fire right now, bro, because we got a huge guest here tonight. Possibly, no, let me correct myself. Not possibly, absolutely the biggest guest that we've ever had here on In Your House. Now, let me go ahead and set the groundwork for you here. Basically, we went to a huge show at the Southside Turner over in Indianapolis on May 11th. We went to Evolve 128. Incredible show. One of the best that I've been to. Had a blast, had a great time. When you guys hear this episode, you guys will be hearing this on Friday morning, 6 a.m. So when you guys get up and you guys are having a good day because it's Friday, you know, it's the last day of work before the weekend. Well, guess what? You can put your boy Khan in your ears as you are driving to work or taking your kids to school or whatever it may be. But this Evolve show that I did a review on a previous episode, it was incredible, and I was honored and privileged to not just get a talent to speak to from that show. I got possibly the best talent from that show. Facts. So, and this is the guy that I wanted to talk to. This was the guy. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm talking about the Evolve champion. That is Austin Theory. How is it going, bro?
What's going on, man? That was quite the introduction for me.
Oh, I tried to do it, man. I mean, I'm excited to have you on. I mean, this is so exciting, bro. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Before we get started, I just want to apologize for my voice. Just from this past weekend, you know, talking so much trash to Adam Cole and fighting around the building in Indianapolis, yelling at the fans.
That was incredible. Yes, man. Yes. I mean, you gave us such a great show, man. I mean, just the way you and Spider Nate Webb was just brawling around the ring. I mean, it was such an incredible show. The run-in that you did, man, you were awesome. I mean, I heard a lot about you from a lot of groups that I frequent, a lot of Austin Theory fans out there that I know about, but I hadn't seen you for myself. And when I knew about this buzz around you, bro, when I knew about what everybody's saying about you, oh, he's next in line, oh yep, dude got next. I wanted to see, and I saw it, and bro, it was awesome. I mean, to see you do your thing out there, that was amazing. So thank you so much for everything that you do for our entertainment, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, and thank you to you guys. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to do what we do.
Oh, man, I understand that, and that's what a lot of the talents that I talk to say. It's just the fans, but, man, you give us so much joy, so we appreciate that. Now, I want to start this interview by asking my first question that I always love to ask the people that I interview, because I always like to get inside their head. I want to understand, and I want to start with this question for you, Austin, is where did it start for Austin Theory? Where did wrestling begin for you?
So wrestling began for me. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Deep South Wrestling. It was an old WWE developmental territory.
I am.
Yeah, so I'm from Georgia. That's where I've always lived my whole life.
Yeah.
But that's where Deep South was located. And I remember being at the gym one day with my mom. I was 8 years old, and there was a guy at the counter. I really have no idea who he is. I don't remember who he was. He was a wrestler, though. And I remember asking him. He was, like, such a big guy, and I was, like, 8 years old. And I looked up at him, and I was like, what do you do? And he, like, looked at me, and he was like, I'm a wrestler. And then just ever since then, just seeing, like, somebody that large and big, I was like, man, like, I got to figure out what this wrestling thing is.
Yeah.
So I asked my mom, I was like, hey, like, where do these wrestlers go? And she said, well, they have a show around here. And that show was Deep South Wrestling.
Okay.
So I had my grandfather take me to a Deep South Wrestling show. And I specifically remember a guy coming out, a real big guy, and he was like the bad guy. And I was like, man, this guy's going to kill everybody in here. I was terrified.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't know if I want to be here. But then next thing you know, the good guy comes out. And I'm like, wow, this guy is huge too. Like, you know, let's just see what happens. And then ever since, like, I just watched, like, that whole show that night, I just fell in love with it. And I remember walking in and seeing a flyer advertising, like, Monday Night Raw in Atlanta, and it had John Cena on it. And at the time, I think I knew who John Cena was, but I really didn't know, like, exactly. Like, I just heard he was the best. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I kind of, like, stuck with wrestling, and I remember buying the figures and getting the cards and playing the games, and it just became a habit. And I was like, I'm doing this one day. Like, I don't know how, but I'm going to do this one day. And obviously, like, as I got older, you know, it started developing more of like a plan on how to do it.
Yeah. And, man, that's so awesome to hear. I always love to hear those stories, Austin, to hear how somebody that's come so far in this business, how it began for them. And, man, you're really doing it. I mean, you have, you know, I'm married. I'm wifed up. I can say, you know, I can secure my masculinity, man. You got to look about you. You know what I mean? You look like a star. You look like money, bro. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
No, man, listen, man, I'm just calling it like I see it, keeping it 100 with you. You look like a star to me, man. And just the way that you work in the ring, I mean, you're such an athlete. And I want to ask you, did you play any sports coming up, or was it just all wrestling for you?
Like in elementary school, I did like, my mom had me playing like basketball and baseball, like little stuff like that doesn't really count when you're that young, you know. But when I got into middle school and high school, I actually was just so set on, you know, all right, I got to like figure out, you know, how I'm going to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to play sports just for the fact of, you know, I didn't want to get injured or have any problems or anything, because I was like, I'm going to be a wrestler. So my whole goal so my whole goal was just to like figure out what could get me ready as fast as possible. And around I think it was 8th grade. That's when I finally started working out.
Right. So you started hitting the weights then.
Yeah, and that kind of developed into like going into high school and working out there and just looking, always, like I said, always looking for something to get me ready. And a lot of people always ask me about the whole bodybuilding.
Oh, yes, I did see that. You did a little bodybuilding. Yes. So where did that begin?
Right. So I did that when I graduated high school, because the whole plan with that is I met a guy at my gym that told me, he's a professional bodybuilder. He was like, I heard you're the kid that's into wrestling. And I was 17 at the time. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And he was like, well, I compete, as a professional, he said, and I won my division in first place. And I got offered a WWE tryout. And I was like, at 17, I was like, well, I mean, there's more to it than just like, just thinking like, oh, you can go win a show and you'll get a tryout, because it depends where the scouts are at the time and stuff like that.
Right.
But me being 17, I was like, man, all I got to do is win a show and I can get a tryout. So I did. I just trained, super hard, and I did a show. I placed first. I won overall, and I heard nothing. So it was like, all right, I got to join a wrestling school.
And that's a great segue to my next question, because I was prepping for you at it. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that I'm asking you the right questions, of course. And so I was doing some research on you, and I saw that you was trained by A.R. Fox.
Yep.
So was he at the school that you first attended, and what was that school?
Yeah, so once I realized, like, all right, I got to figure out, like, what's my next move after this bodybuilding, was to go to a wrestling school. Yeah. And the closest wrestling school to me at the time was an hour away from where I live, and it was over by Six Flags. It was called WWA 4. Okay. And that's where I met A.R. Fox. And he explained everything to me, and of course you don't really understand everything when you first start, because it's a lot. And he tested me a lot. He threw a lot at me at first. He told me, like, a lot of people need more time to, like, understand and things, but he said that I was, figuring everything out so quick and learning so quick, and being able to, like, show, like, everything that he was teaching me, just understanding it, basically. And he would just throw so much at me, and eventually it just was like, hey, man, like, come to the show with me. And I started doing shows with him and traveling with him. And then it just kind of took off on its own after that.
Right. That's crazy, because from what everything that I'm taking in, that I'm hearing about you, Austin, man, you just sound like you're determined, you know what I mean? Like, dedicated, like when you decide that you want to do something, like, you're just bulldogging your way in there, and I respect the hell out of that, bro. So that's really dope, man, just to hear how you just bulldogged your way in there. You seem like a real determined cat.
Yeah, that's one of my my biggest things I feel like in life is you're not promised any amount of time. Thanks. And it's just like, if you want it, you got to go get it. And people that tell you, just you're young, take your time. Dude, let's just be honest. It's real life, and there's young people like us that go real quick. So it's now or never.
Man, I feel that. Just so you know a little bit about me, of course I live here in Indiana, you know what I mean? I got my wife and kids, and I'm still a young dude, but coming up, I came from Los Angeles. I came from Crenshaw, that area, like gang affiliated type area. So when you say that us young cats are going out young, you're right, and I'm so happy to be out of that environment, you know what I mean, and living my best life. So to hear you say that, man, I resonate with that in a major way. So most definitely, man. So now you're wrestling with Evolve, and I was I was doing so once again doing some research on you, and I saw that you've wrestled in Evolve, you've wrestled in even Progress. So you've actually done Progress before.
Right.
Oh, how was that?
Yeah, so my first time with Progress, I remember the night before, I got the message that somebody got injured, and they wanted to use me and Keith Lee for the show the next day, and we were doing a doubleheader in New York with it was Evolve and Progress, and that was my first time with them, and then it kind of became this routine of every time they came over here that they put me on the show and used me, and this year was the first year that I actually got to go over, the pond, they say, and get to be a part of, Progress where it's, always held. And it was my first time in London this year, so that was pretty cool.
Man, that is so awesome, man. And some of the names that I've seen that you wrestled, definitely you're next up. I mean, I can see that a mile away. I mean, you've wrestled guys, obviously AR Fox. I've seen names like Leo Rush, Trent Beretta, Zack Sabre Jr. Of course, you just mentioned Keith Lee. I mean, some of the names. I mean, now of course, Adam Cole and man, some of the names that you've wrestled, like. When you think about it, when you look back at it, and I know it's kind of hard because when you're trying to get somewhere, man, it's hard to kind of stop and smell the roses. But my next question for you is this, Austin, like when you have a chance to actually sit down and reflect, just live right there in that moment, bro. How are you feeling? Like, how are you feel about everything that you're doing currently with your career? Everything that you said you was going to do as a kid, you're doing it. Like, when you get a chance to stop and smell the roses, how does that feel, bro?
I mean, I could sit here honestly and say it's surreal, but at the same time, it's like I knew it was going to happen, and I there's certain people that I can communicate with that understand it from a confidence level and not a cocky level. I feel like people that are leaders understand that, and people that are more so followers can't really relate, and they look for ways to say, oh, he's cocky or this or that. But, in a way I get, like, I'm a young kid, I'm 21, but my whole thing is I've been preparing for this. Like, I get it, like, maybe you're older and you're there now and, you wrestled for this long or that long. But, when you were 12, were you in the gym training? Like, were you in the gym when you were 14? Were you in the gym when you were 16? Were you at a bodybuilding show when you were 17? Like, were you doing everything you could to prepare yourself for this? And for me, I've just always been prepared for this. And, I've had people tell me I wouldn't go anywhere. I had people tell me I was too small, and I've had those same people, now that they see me doing it, they're like, yeah, I always knew he would do it. No, you always knew I wanted to do it. You didn't always think I would make it, And
Preach.
for me, I'm in a way, I'm grateful. I'm super blessed for everything that I have, like all the people in my life and all the people that I've met, and just the people that I've had support me, and just like my mindset is what I'm most grateful for. And I just wouldn't say I'm like super shocked or anything, but I'm happy. I'm super happy, and it is surreal at times just to know to myself, like, dude, you were right. Like, when that dude told you no, like, you were right. Like, you're here. And it's crazy. Like, just from like where things are going now, and even like back to this past weekend, being there with Adam Cole, the guy that was just main event and takeover for the NXT championship, is like, I was in the ring with him, and it's just like, it's crazy. And for like WWE to put that trust in me to put one of their top guys in the ring with me means so much to me.
Because they know, and Pusha T said something, and I think it holds true with exactly what you just told me. And Austin, it's when you know, and it sounds like that you've always known, and that's why it's no surprise to you that you're a freaking star. And it's awesome to hear this story, because I know what it's like to have a chip on your shoulder, and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it. So I love hearing that story of, they told me I couldn't, but I did it anyway. So I totally respect that. Man, next question that I had for you is a question that really, like, it's crazy to me because creativity being creative is so huge with me, Austin, and when I saw your finisher, I looked it up, the Unproven Cutter.
Uh-huh.
How did you come up with that finishing move? Because at the Evolve show, that was personally the first time I had ever seen it, and my co-host Michael, it was the first time he had ever seen it. So I wanted to ask you, how did that move come to be?
Oh, okay. So the Unproven Cutter was actually the TKO. That's what that was.
Okay.
The new move that I did on Nate Webb. That move is called Ataxia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No. How did it come to be?
Yeah. So basically, I came up with the name because Ataxia basically means full loss of body control. So I feel like that kind of says it itself when you're taking the move. You don't have any control in your body. But no, I like the. I've always liked the pedigree, and I was just messing around at training one day, and kind of went into the pedigree position with a guy, and I was like, man, maybe I could try something from here. And instead of hooking the other arm, I decided to hook the leg on the same side, and I flipped him, and at first it kind of was like a rock bottom, if you can picture that. So like flipping a guy into a rock bottom.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, let me try something else. And then it was like flipping the guy into like a rock bottom backbreaker. And then and then eventually it was like, you know what, I'm pretty strong. I'm just going to flip this guy all the way and make him do a 450. So
that is incredible. I mean, when I saw that move, I mean, I was already blown away from just the action and the chaos from what you and Webb did. But then when I saw that move, I was like, oh, that was dope. So I mean,
right.
I was really digging it, man. I was really digging it. So I had to ask about that. But now I'm gonna back it up a little bit, back it on up, and ask you this question, man. How did Evolve come to be for you? How did the relationship between Austin Theory and Evolve come to be?
So I owe all this to AR Fox. He reached out to Gabe Sapolsky, and he basically told him that he had a guy that he felt that Gabe would maybe be interested in, and that guy was me. And Gabe gave me a call, and it was real, like, overwhelming. But he was basically telling me, you know, this is the place to be, and I can offer you 2 shows, and if you want them, you know, take them or leave them. And I took the 2 shows that he offered me. Those 2 shows were Style Battle and FIP. These 2 shows are on the under the WWN umbrella. They're basically like kind of 2 separate smaller shows, Evolve being the biggest show that WWN has. But I took the 2 bookings, and my first booking with him was the Style Battle show, and that's where I had a match one-on-one with AR Fox. And after that match, I came to the back, and Gabe offered me a contract.
Oh, that is awesome, man. That is awesome news. And in that moment, when he offered you the contract, what were you thinking, man?
Man, it's one of those things where it was just surreal, you know. Yeah, I was like, you know, I don't even really know what this means, but yes, like, I'll take it, you know.
Yeah,
so
man.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, now you're wrestling for Evolve, and not only are you wrestling for Evolve, but you're the Evolve champion. I mean, that's crazy, and you won that back in, I do believe it was December, correct?
The Evolve Championship?
Yep.
That was December.
Okay. So when you you had been with Evolve, so when you won that Evolve Championship, I always love to ask champions this question. I've had a couple other champions on the show, but I want to ask you because you're by far the biggest one that we had. when you won the Evolve Championship, how did it feel being with that promotion when, getting that championship, having that type of trust? How did that feel when that culminated?
It was, I feel like when I won the Evolve Championship, it seemed like everything started like coming together for me, like overall.
Yeah.
Just as for my character and just like where I stood in independent wrestling.
Yeah.
I feel like it kind of like helped me stand on a platform, and ever since then, just like, having big matches. Since then, like even that night, having that match with Fabian Eichner and Roderick Strong, and then going on and having a match with Johnny Gargano and now Adam Cole.
Wow.
Just like a big platform with that championship.
Man, and you wear the title. You look like a star with that title. You look like money. I know I've already said it, but hell, I'm just gonna say it again. You look like a star, man. So speaking of you being a star, that's gonna transition to my next question, and that's this. I mean, I'm not asking you to break any news or give anything away. I don't ask that of my guests. That's just not how I get down. But I do want to ask you, what can we expect from Austin Theory? What's coming? I mean, you're a young man. You're a champion, 21-year-old Evolve champion. What can we expect? What's the future hold for Austin Theory?
I think, as people have seen how my careers went and how fast it's went, the future definitely holds a lot. I see for myself, and if I have a vision and there's something I want, I think like my resume has proved that I'll do whatever it takes to get, what I want exactly. I just, I feel like what people think is definitely what Austin Theory is going to do. The people that are behind me and support me. So, I just definitely say the future is very bright, and a lot of people will be happy with where Austin Theory's, going to go in the future.
Absolutely, man. And I'm excited to see where Austin Theory goes in the future, and wherever that may be, I know that you're gonna kill it, bro. Because once again, you're a star. You don't need me telling you that. You already know it, and it's great that you know it. And one thing that I learned about you from this interview is I can tell that everything that you ever want to happen is always going to formulate. That you're going to speak things into existence. You make it happen. And if this is the only time I ever get to interview you, I just want to say, man, I respect the hell out of you. Your mindset, your wrestling ability, your tenacity, your talents. If this is the only time I get to speak to you, I respect you, bro. So thank you so much, so much. You honor my show and honor me and honor my fan base by coming on here, bro. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate the opportunity as well.
Oh, no problem, man. So, speaking of opportunity, Austin, this is your opportunity to plug away. Where can people see Austin Theory? Where can they hear Austin Theory? And where can they follow Austin Theory?
So Austin Theory's biggest social media is Instagram and Twitter. My Instagram is Austin_Theory, and my Twitter is Austin Theory 1.
Excellent. So can we look forward to any shows or anything coming up from Austin Theory, or are you just chilling out, taking a little breather right now?
I do have a few shows coming up. Of course, we have Evolve in June. I believe they are. Trying to think what the dates are exactly. I think it's the 29th and 30th of June is Evolve. But coming up currently, I have a show this Sunday in Rhode Island, XWA. I think it's a big 5-on-5 match that I'm in. And then I also have I do this show in Mexico called The Crash. So that'll be pretty big. That is going to be next Friday. And that's all I have really lined up for right now.
Awesome, man. So once again, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Hope to have you on again one day. But thank you so much for doing this, bro.
Absolutely, man. Thank you.
All right, no problem, man, no problem. Hey, guys, that was my guest, guys. That was the Evolve champion, Austin Theory, gracing the In Your House podcast, gracing the household with his championship presence. Hey guys, let you know where you can listen to this. You can listen to this at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Himalaya. Oh, you don't have an Apple device? That's okay, because we're on Google Play. Anywhere that you guys are, hey guys, we can get you there. Hey, check us out. October 5th, Heroes and Legends 13, Fort Wayne, Indiana. In Your House will be in the building with some of the biggest names in the wrestling business, including the Icon Sting. It's going to be an incredible time. Come say hi to your boy. Come say hi to Hutch as we are there, the official podcasters of Heroes and Legends 13. Hey guys, you guys already know what it is. Hop on this bandwagon. Get on or get gone, because the household is going strong. Hey, you guys have a great day and a great rest of your week. Peace.